Welcome to Still a Part of Us. We are a place where we share some amazing stories of stillbirth and infant loss. And today we had Emily on, and she told of her story of Kehpri, and that little guy is what a little fighter. I just was so amazed at your story and just how hard it was, and also how beautiful it was for you to have that time with him. So, Emily, thank you again for coming on. Thanks for coming and talking with us to give us a little bit of advice on how to navigate this. So, welcome back.
Of course, thank you. It's nice to be on, Winter.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah,
so tell me a little, yeah, would you mind just telling us a little bit about Kepri and like what he, just so that everybody's kind of caught up. So what happened to him? When was he born?
yes, Kehpri, he was born April 19th. He also passed away April 19th at 36 weeks, 5 days. He had multiple medical conditions, but the main one was spina bifida, and the type was cervical myelomeningocele, which is very rare. He was, like Winter said, just so precious and a fighter. He truly was. He
Yeah.
fought to the end.
Yeah, he did. And I just want to point out that Emily has only been it's only been at the time of this recording, it's only been 9 months. Like
Yeah.
she just had him and just lost him. Like it just is not very long, and
No.
I we like to talk about this kind of grief journey because it does help us navigate it as we're
Yeah.
going through it ourselves. So, um will you tell me how that first couple months looked like? I know that the first month was actually by the time he passed away and then till the time you guys had his funeral, it was about a month and a month and a week or so, as if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
so that first month, it was probably, at least it was for me anyway, I was very focused on planning, right?
Yes.
And so I didn't really have a ton of time to sit and just grieve and be with myself. So tell
No.
me after the funeral, how those first few months were for you.
It was it was okay. Um, the first month after, it almost didn't click. Like, it almost didn't feel real.
Right.
And I don't know why. It didn't click. Then, afterwards, it got really difficult. It did. It got really difficult, and, I kinda lost myself for a
Yeah.
minute
Yeah.
in the process. I didn't quite get the necessary time to grieve him
Mhm.
since I got, of course, diagnosed with my cervical cancer in June.
And everybody, I just wanna point out that they had he was born in April,
Mhm.
had the funeral at the beginning of May, right?
Yes.
And then she was diagnosed with cervical cancer, like, a month later. Was it
Yeah.
just because how did they discover it? Was it just were you at a checkup, or were you feeling terrible? Like, how did
I
that lead up to it?
I was at my postpartum checkup. They ended up doing a colposcopy just to, like, make sure that everything was doing okay.
Oh.
And within the colposcopy, it was showing abnormal cells. So then they
Oh,
ended up doing a biopsy a week later.
okay.
Yeah, and then the biopsy showed that I had stage 1 cervical cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm, and I've had biopsies every 3 to 6 months for the last year, and I
Okay.
still have a year to go.
Okay, and you're being treated currently with,
Yes.
chemo or,
Um, for right now, there hasn't really been a plan in set. They were just kinda seeing where it was going, like,
mm,
what it was doing for the last it's been, like, 6, 7 months? It's been a while.
yeah.
And, actually, after this podcast, I have my treatment to go to, which is they're gonna do a LEAP, which is a
Mm,
uh, laser electrical procedure. There's another E, but I don't know exactly
okay.
what it stands
Yeah,
for.
okay.
But it's just they're gonna take a laser, and they're gonna try to cut out as much of the cancer as possible.
Okay.
I ended up also having precancer spreading up into my uterus. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. So they're gonna get rid of, for sure, the precancer with the laser.
Okay.
but they're not sure how much of the cervical cancer it's gonna take away, so
Oh,
I could have to start chemo and radiation.
gotcha.
It
Okay.
just all depends.
On yes, obviously from how this goes and as it progresses and everything. Um,
Yes.
okay, hopefully this is not too personal a question, but I was like, did
You're
they
good.
talk to you about your fertility? Are there fertility concerns with
Uh,
this that they were
no,
concerned about? Okay.
no, so far there isn't.
Okay.
The only big concern is since I'm having so many biopsies done and,
Hmm.
like, they're taking so much of my cervix,
Yeah.
the possibility of a preterm birth, I think is what it's
Oh, for future, like
yeah,
when you do actually get pregnant. Okay, I see.
yes. Yeah. Um, so far, there's no concern, but of
Okay.
course, there has been a brought up the talk about me possibly needing a hysterectomy, depending on where it goes, how it goes.
Oh, okay.
They bring that up every time with cervical cancer,
Yeah.
just 'cause it's involving that part of your body.
Yes, exactly.
But, yeah, no fertility issues that I know
Okay.
of. I actually just recently was pregnant again and had a miscarriage
Oh, you
4
were?
weeks in, yeah.
Oh, I'm so
Around
sorry.
Christmas, it happens.
Yeah.
It's not as devastating since I still haven't really grieved Kepri, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I just want to point out, like, having that getting thrown into something that is also very unknown, right?
Yeah,
That is really difficult to have the time to grieve the son that you lost. I just
yeah.
can. This is a lot. You've had a lot happen to you, Emily.
Way too much, yeah.
I'm like overwhelmed for you. I'm sure you're overwhelmed. Like,
I'm hoping it gets easier, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, I never even had the time to properly grieve Kepri yet, just
Yeah.
because 'cause I'm trying to also grieve with the cancer and
Yeah.
this new loss, just so much,
Yeah. That
so
is
much.
I know. Ugh, yeah. It is I'm like so sad for you because it's so hard to just I can't wrap my brain around it. Just gonna say though, I'm gonna say like I feel like Kepri was kind of watching out for you that they were able to do that test during that postpartum follow
Yeah,
up. I
and
mean,
catch it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that
I'm
is
thankful.
yeah. It's like kind of it's
Yeah,
kind of that's a little cool, I think, actually.
yeah.
Are you doing anything? I know that you haven't really had a lot of time to grieve in a sense, like because you've kind of been preoccupied with other things. But has there been anything that's been helpful for you to get some little snatches of time to think about
Yeah,
him, to cry, to mourn?
yeah. I actually ended up starting therapy.
Okay.
I
Uh-huh.
It's a great thing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
grieving moms. They've asked about my story so many times, so I've already had, like, a chance to tell just my therapist alone multiple times.
Good.
So, like, I've gotten to the point now where I can kinda tell a story and not fully just break down,
Yeah. Yeah.
finally after 9 months.
Yeah.
Um,
That
so it's kind of a great thing, and I still cry a lot. It's gonna happen. I don't think that you'll ever fully get over losing a
mhm.
child,
Mhm.
but you just kinda learn to live with it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Um, and just keep living as if they're still here in a sense,
Mhm.
and still, like, watching over you and just with you in your daily activities.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely helped a lot, and, I've also found some support groups of
Okay.
other lost moms within my area,
Great.
where they do weekly meetings where we meet up, we are one tomorrow, we're making a vision board for the year. So, like, they're trying to just help the grieving moms, like, learn how to live and learn how to just set goals now, because it's a little hard since you set so many goals and so many plans and it got
Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all know exactly how that
Yeah,
feels.
okay. I actually can we talk about this for just a second because
Yes.
when you said that I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so true." Because you have some major goals. Like you're like, "I'm going to bring a baby into the house. We're going to have this awesome life. I'm going to teach him how to do this and I'm going to teach him how to
Yeah.
do that." And now you don't have that to do anymore.
No.
And
Yeah.
gosh, I'd never even realized it where you're like cuz you I like there is a sense of you're floating around.
Yeah.
you're kind of goalless. You're kind of you don't have it feels futureless. I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it, but you're right. Like I think
Yeah.
that's really um a valuable thing for them to try and help create a different vision now, right? Of the
Yeah.
of the year. I think
Yes. Yeah. Because
gosh.
it's yeah, it's so difficult. It's
Yeah.
something that not a lot of people realize, but you go on as if basically you died too.
Yeah.
You feel as if you died and you're just walking around without any of these goals or anything.
Yeah, future you is gone now
Mhm.
cuz future you had your baby in it. And
Yep.
oh man, that is powerful. That they are doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. But that's helped out a lot too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every area has them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you just
that's
need to look out for them. I know that there's gonna be it's a little harder in some of the more rural areas, but
yeah.
if, I feel like there's Zoom ones I've
Yeah.
noticed, support groups
Yeah.
that are super
There's
helpful.
Zooms, there's, Facebook groups, I'm on
Mhm.
one, there's a
Mhm.
whole bunch.
Yeah.
But I feel like just joining a community with
Yeah.
other people alike that have been through a similar experience in a way
Yeah.
helps out a lot because it makes you not feel so alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then you just feel like a weirdo, and then you're like
Yeah.
you're just like, "I'm gonna go sit over here," and then yeah, it's not good. So, yeah, be with people that are it helps
Yeah.
considerably.
Well, it can feel really lonely being around people that haven't experienced it
Yeah.
because they can't fully understand. And not only that, but you don't want them to understand as well.
Yeah.
So you try
Mhm.
not to speak about it as much. And even if you do, it turns awkward
Yeah.
because they don't know what to say.
They don't know what to say.
No. So yeah, finding that group that's alike it's so helpful.
Yeah.
So helpful.
I'm so glad that you have found some people that are supportive and helpful and understand what you're going through. You did mention that people don't know what to say that have not that have experienced this type of loss. What are some things that people have said that have been helpful that you appreciate when they do either said or did that has helped you in your grieving process?
I would say the biggest one that I've had a couple people say is just I guess to never let people forget him. Never let yourself forget him. Like just keep sharing your story no
Hmm.
matter who tells you not to, no matter what you're
Hmm.
told, just keep sharing his story and just keep living as if he's always right there.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that I had a friend tell me too is that after your baby's born, their cells stay in your body for like 10 years.
Hmm.
They still like he's still a part of you in a
Yeah.
way. So I was told like whenever like you miss him to just feel your heartbeat and just be reminded that he's in there,
Yeah.
that he's flown around.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've heard something similar to that too. So, like,
Yes.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I do think that they're still like they're always going to be a part of who you are now. Like that's all there is to it. Like you
Yeah.
are a different person because of them.
Mhm.
And so,
Well, and not only that, but I've said this a lot that a mother's instinct is to protect her child.
mhm.
And when your child's gone, you can't really protect your child, but you can still protect their memory.
Mm,
So you fight to protect their memory.
yeah. And like you said, by telling his story, by talking
Yeah.
about him, and I think that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's really beautiful, Emily.
Thank you.
I like that a lot. And, on the flip side, is there anything that you would maybe recommend people not say to a lost parent? Um, or maybe somebody that's just even grieving, because let's be honest, like grief in general can be rough and we can say
Yeah.
some real stupid things to people that
Yes.
are experiencing great heartache.
Yeah. I would definitely say one of the biggest pieces of advice, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other grieving parents and people in general can say this, is do not tell someone to just move on.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That is the worst.
yes. Yes.
The worst.
Yeah. 'Cause Yes. No, just yeah, I agree. Don't say that.
No.
We will eventually move forward, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're taking our baby with us. Like we're
No.
taking who we are, we're taking our baby with us, but yeah, we're not moving on. Like,
No. Yeah. No. There's no way to move on. You
yeah.
just learn to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest one I've been told,
Yeah.
and it does upset me,
Mhm.
but you kinda I at least understand because they don't understand the pain.
Yeah.
They've never went through it.
Yeah.
So
And
I
like you mentioned before, you're like, you don't want them to go through this pain
don't.
because it is so horrible.
It
It's
is,
it's
yeah, no. So I don't even try to, like, make them understand or even, like, justify it
yeah.
because I know they never will, and I don't even want them to.
Mhm.
It's horrible.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
And I kind of poke fun at people sometimes when they do kind of something like that, where they're just like, "Oh, just move on. It's fine. You can have another baby," or like something along the lines. You're like, I it's not like I just lost a pair of flip flops and I can go buy them at the Walmart or anything like that. It just is.
No.
It's not as
No.
something easy to move on from,
No.
and this was a very big event that was catastrophic and shook you up and it's hard to it's hard to move on. Oh, hello. That was awesome. That is so
I
funny.
didn't hang on.
You got a visitor. That was fun.
Yeah. Sorry about
No,
that.
it's totally fine. We like visitors here. Sometimes my little son will bust into the room. I was like, "Okay, I should have locked the
Oh.
door." Um, and then I was gonna ask, I know that your, Kepri's dad was not really in the picture, and for somebody that might be navigating a situation like this, because you found out you were pregnant and you had just before had broken up. And
Yeah.
so did you involve him? We didn't talk about this much on the birth episode, but did you involve him much in like your checkups so that he knew what was going on? And what kind of arrangement did you make with him being involved in Kepri's life if he was to have lived and such?
Yeah. Um, I so yeah, we had broken up, and at first he didn't want to believe that it was his, which understandable. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna pressure you,
Yeah.
but I knew. I
Mm,
already knew.
yeah.
So I kept updating him with every appointment. I texted him and updated him, and
Mhm.
he he thanked me for updating him. He didn't like reach out of his way to really ask at first.
Mhm.
It wasn't until like that last month that he would reach
Mm,
out and ask how I was doing.
okay.
And so as it got closer to birth, he got more involved.
Okay.
And after I had gave birth to Kehpri, while he was still alive, I had actually video chatted him.
Oh,
Yeah, because he couldn't make it to the birth because it was all so unexpected. It just
y
happened so
it
fast.
did it really did. Like, go listen to that story. I was like, "That was fast." And he lives in Texas, right? And, so that would have been very not it wouldn't have worked out to get
No,
him there quickly enough, so,
yeah, yeah. It wasn't possible.
yeah.
So yeah, I ended up video chatting him while he was alive, and he was at work, so he didn't spend very long on the phone.
Mhm.
Understandable.
Mhm.
But he told me he would call me back on his lunch break, and by the time he had called me back, it was right after Kepri had passed away,
Oh.
and right after I had just gave him up to the nurse
Oh.
to go.
Yeah.
So he only got to see him alive on video chat for like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he called me back, and it was me breaking down because I was already crying, just letting him know that he had passed away.
Yeah.
Um, and then we spent maybe like 30 minutes on the phone afterwards, just talking about him and
Mhm.
just kind of crying and grieving together,
Mhm.
and um, just like just talking and just like mentioning like what happened while he was alive and
Mhm.
like sharing photos and everything. And it was a nice moment. It,
'Kay.
it really was.
Yeah.
Um, and it was needed for our son
Yeah.
as well. So that was really nice. And after that, he kept just checking on me. He was really worried.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I understand.
Yeah.
I was worried about him too, as this was his very first time experiencing any sort of loss.
Right.
And this is the worst loss to experience for your very first.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So I was really worried. And he was supposed to come out to the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't make it because of work. So that's why I live streamed it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I wanted him to see it and be there.
Yeah.
And he watched it, thankfully. But yeah, he couldn't make it. He ended up flying me out in like the beginning or middle of June to Texas to go and just talk more about our son and be able to celebrate him together. And
Yeah.
I gave him his ashes because I had the funeral home split his ashes in half.
Okay.
So we each had half.
Yeah.
So we each had half of everything, half of the memorials, half of the ashes.
Right.
Like it was split perfectly.
Yeah.
So I brought all that down for him. So he has parts of his son as well.
Yeah.
And then he has another son. So I just kind of got time with him as well and just was like celebrating our son and his younger brother too.
Yeah.
We had his son like with us. So it was nice.
That's great.
But we ended up I ended up flying back out like a week later. And we haven't really spoke too much since. Just life's getting busy, life's in the way.
Right.
But yeah,
that's it's kind of obviously tricky, but also it sounds like you guys were both able to come together, like you said, for him. And I think that is right. That's really nice to do that for your son. And and talk about him and be with him.
It was needed, yeah. And to be able to share all the videos and pictures and stories, even though it was short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, at least there's a little bit of, I don't know, I wouldn't say closure, but just like being able to celebrate his life and talk about him together as parents. So
yes, yeah.
And Emily, I'm wondering if you're has there been anything else that you've done to like kind of take care of yourself? Because I know that you're taking care of yourself in the sense of you're trying to watch your health because you've got this kind of big thing happening right now. But anything else that you're doing to take care of yourself and to I don't know. I that was just a thought or a question that I thought. I was like, I need to ask that question and see if there's anything that might be helpful.
I mean, yeah, I'm taking care of my health pretty all right in the sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I would say in the mental stance, I pretty much go about my day as if like he's with me, you know, even though he's not physically there, he's there.
Yeah.
I'll take time out of my day to just talk to him. It's talking to nothing, but I'm talking to him in my mind.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. I get you.
Yes. I have a little like urn set up. So I'll go and like light a candle for like an hour at the end of the night. And just like let him know that like he's loved. He's still the light of my life.
Yeah.
You know. I carry his little urn with some of his ashes with me everywhere.
Really?
I take him everywhere. I actually have him sitting next to us right now.
Oh, hi.
And it's so worn out from how much I've taken him places.
You have just held him. Yeah.
Yes. So I try to just keep him with me and just live as if he's there and take care of myself as if he's there.
Yeah.
And I just
and that's as a parent, it's hard to do that sometimes.
Yes.
And so it's great that you are taking care of yourself and
so it's been a very difficult journey, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it. It takes time. I won't lie. It takes time.
It does.
And there's never a time limit on it.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I'm thankful to be able to not really break down about it as much, you know? I can smile about it more
Mhm.
than cry, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. 'Cause there's a long while. I don't know everybody. Emily has been on with us for, I mean, I've been chatting with her for a couple hours, and she's a smiley person. That's all there is to it. And so for her to not smile probably was really, that was probably really rough when it was the days when you were just not feeling yourself. So,
Yeah, and I will be honest, there were a couple months where I didn't smile. I couldn't.
mhm.
I'm sure all of us have felt that. We
Yeah.
we literally couldn't. There was
Yeah.
nothing to smile about.
That nope, nope. You couldn't see past what, yeah, you just can't see past the
No.
darkness for a long while there.
Yep.
So, I do wanna point out one thing that you said, and I wanna make sure everybody heard it. So you just said, it takes time, and there's no time schedule that you have to be on with grief. Like, it's
No.
not the it's not gonna be a straight line. It's not gonna be nice and tidy. It's
No.
not gonna be any of that. So grief is its own thing. So
Yes.
just be
Yes.
patient with yourself, I think.
Yes. And I will say one thing that's definitely made it a lot easier is I had a friend gift me a stuffed animal.
Mm.
It's called a Scentsy.
Oh,
So
okay.
it has a zipper in the back
Uh-huh.
where you can put things in it and zip it up.
Oh.
So I put some of his ashes in that stuffed animal,
Yeah.
and I sleep with it every night.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like I'm sleeping with him.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're able to do anything like that, I think that's also really beneficial
Yeah,
as
that physical touch is
yeah,
really nice. Because
yeah,
really you don't your arms feel like, "I need to have a baby in my
yeah,
arms."
I'm supposed to, yeah,
It
yeah,
just is natural to do that because I just had a baby, but when
yes,
they're not there, then yeah, there are things that can be a nice substitute.
yeah,
It's not a great substitute, but it's a nice one.
it
Um,
helps
yeah,
temporarily.
yeah, it does,
Yeah,
it does. Emily, this has been really a wonderful conversation. I have appreciated your candor and your smiliness, actually.
thank you.
um, is there anything else you would like to share with us today? You do? As let's hear
Yes.
it.
Yeah, I actually wrote a poem around it was around May, around my birthday,
Okay.
about Kehpri and, like, my little journey. It's just a little poem, it's a short
Okay.
one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So it's titled My Son. It says, I hold you in my heart instead of my arms. I wear your name on a bracelet instead of saying it to you. I wear your little foot on my skin instead of in my hands. I smell your baby blanket instead of your head. I sleep with your ashes and heartbeat and teddy bears instead of sleeping with you. I stare at pictures and live with memories instead of living with you. I never heard your cry. Instead, I heard he died. I never got to see your eyes. Instead, I seen you take your last breath. I never got to hear your giggle. Instead, I planned your funeral.
Oh, you guys, that said so much because there's a lot of things that just didn't happen the way
None of us planned out.
that was
Yeah.
that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was just beautiful. And
Thank you.
just I was like, "Oh, I just got stabbed in the heart." Just 'cause that's what it feels like.
Thank you.
Emily, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you for sharing Kepri with us, and your light. And I so appreciate your that light that you've shared with us today. So thank you again.
Of course. Thank you for letting me. It's been a pleasure. And I've been so grateful to be able to share my story and talk to you. And it's brought me a lot of joy today. Thank you.
Good, good. You're welcome.
Thank you.